What is up, guys? This is Wolf/Turd, and today we're going to be talking about the Macedonians once again. We've already talked about them on the battlefield. Now we're going to talk about them on the campaign. How do they fare? How strong are they? Are they fun to play? These are the things I want to be looking at. So we're going to be analyzing their economy, their early game, their mid to late game, and so let's get into this. So how do they start? How's their start, actually? Their start is pretty good. They have a strong start. They have 4 cities. We have 2,700 population in Bilasaurus, 6,000 in Thessalonica, 3,000 in both Larissa and Corinth. Corinth already has the stone walls, but you know it can only recruit peasants, which is not good. Larissa can recruit, I think it's just the militia. No, only light lancers. In Thessalonica, this will be a recruitment center in the early game because you can actually get levy pikes. You know, the characters are actually not too bad when you start off. We can actually take a look at them. You have 2 good characters for battles. Alright. Now, where was I? Yes. Thessalonica, you can get those spikes right there. You know, and this will be very good. You just have to be careful. On huge unit scale, these guys have 240 men, so you will be drawing 240 people out of that. So let's just draw 4 guys. You already are only at 5,000 population, right? So you really do need to take that into account. And in Bilasaura, you can only recruit militia hoplites. So you will have to develop your military infrastructure in the beginning, but you can start pumping out levy pikemen from Thessalonica, and so you shouldn't have a lot of trouble against the Greeks or the Thracians. Speaking of Greeks and Thracians, those are the faction you need to beat to win the short campaign. Okay, it's Greeks and Thracians. Will you have a lot of trouble against them? Well, against the Greeks you should not have a lot of trouble because you have pikemen, they don't. And against the Thracians you shouldn't have a lot of trouble because your cavalry is better than the Thracian calves. Okay, I think they only have Greek calves. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe they have noble? I am not too sure about that. But you will have better cav than them. Okay, you will have better cav than them. You will have the upper hand. And they tend to field more units rather than just pikes. So if you just field your pikes, you cannot field anything else, you will defeat them for sure. Now, how's the troops? You know, as I said, you have pikemen. You know, you have pikemen, so your early game should be strong. And another thing is, Athens is right here. You start with the statue of Zeus. You have early expansions into the Colossus of Rhodes. You will have all of these regions these regions will be pretty good trading with each other and trading maybe with Asia Minor. Maybe you can get some trade with the Romans early on, or you'll go to war against the Romans, but that we'll talk about that later. And you can actually be making a pretty good sum of money from trade because you get the Colossus. Alright, that is amazing. Okay, and to take Athens, you might think, oh, it's a walled city, how am I gonna do it? Do it like this. Okay, and then you get a mercenary unit and you do it like this. Now let's go to the pluses and minuses of Macedon. We have already seen the start, and at the start the Macedonians are pretty strong. Like if we were only doing a start position analysis and putting those on a tier list, I would probably say that Macedon is one of the strongest starts in the game. So I would probably put it on an S tier, because you can get the Greek peninsula rather fast. Alright, it would be S or A, it really depends, right? But I think if it was only the start, we'd go for an S. Now we are going to take a look at what are the pros and the cons of Macedon. So let us start. We've already talked about a few. You start with the statue of Zeus, and you have quick access to the Colossus of Rhodes and the other wonders to the east. That is a big plus. You don't need to do much effort to kick the Greeks out because you have pike units. That's also a big plus. You have, you know, if we take a look at the temples, the temples for Macedon are amazing. Well, let's take a look at this. You know, you have the Temple of Demeter, which it gives you farm and food production. I don't really like this in the long run, but you can use these guys in the early game so that your population grows faster, and you're going to need it because you're recruiting big, large units of 240 men, and then you can switch it up to happiness and law or some military ones. And let's take a look at this. Zeus, you have 20% bonus due to law, and law also reduces corruption in your settlements, so you're going to be making more money from your settlements. This is amazing. This is really good. Then you have the Temple of Artemis. You can upgrade your missile weapons +3. This is extremely powerful, especially when you take into account that you have access to Cretan archers on Greece, in the Greek lands. Okay, so Cretan archers +3 missile upgrade. This is huge. And then we have the Temple of Aries, and it gives experience bonus to troops trained here +3. This is also extremely good. Okay, this is amazing. You can start your units right off the bat with 3+ experience, and that is an advantage. Okay, this is an advantage. So it's just as if your units were 3 stronger on attack and defense. I don't think it increases attack and defense every single chevron, but it increases one of the two in every single chevron, so that's really good. Anyway, that's with the temples. Temples for the Macedonians are really strong because all of them can be extremely useful for you. Alright, then they have this huge early game trade potential. Once you get Athens, Sparta, Thermon, and the Colossus of Rhodes and Kydonia over here, you will be making a lot of money from trade, okay? Especially if you also got these settlements over here. You have some Seleucids, and then you have some Greeks that you will want to take for sure. And this is a rebel settlement over here at the Basileum, so you will be expanding this way for sure. Maybe you can get here before the Thracians get to this Byzantium. I don't know how it's called. Let me check. How is it called? Alright, it's Byzantium, exactly. And you guys can get to Byzantium here before the Thracians and then take them out. Alright, so what else? What else do we have to talk about that is positive? I think those are the positive things that I have to talk about Macedon. So, to sum all of these up, wonders of the world, really good economy, really good temples. You have everything to build a powerful empire, okay? That's the thing. Now, let's go. Well, what is the bad things? Well, most of the bad things of Macedon are on the battlefield. And even before we get to the battlefield, what is bad on the campaign? Well, you will be fighting in 3 fronts. To the north, to the east over here, and to the west over here. That is bad because you will have to divide your armies into these 3 main theaters of war. And if you didn't manage to build a strong economy right in the early game, you know, building your ports up and conquering your lands over here, you will have difficulties then fighting on 3 fronts. So what I suggest is, if you only have 1 front active, put everything there and try to defeat and to get that front under control as soon as possible, and then you can start opening up other fronts. The problem is that the Romans will attack you eventually, okay? So that's multiple fronts. That's a negative for Macedon for sure, and that's a big one because it can give you a lot of trouble in the mid to late game. Alright, what else? It will become harder, and the battles will become harder as the campaign moves along. Not because everybody else is getting better, and you are not, because you will be getting better as well with reaching those royal phalanxes, you know, and the companion cav, and having a lot of Cretans. But the problem is that all of these guys out here into the east after Asia Minor, you'll be fighting the Seleucids, and the Seleucids, if you let them be for a little while, they will start getting cataphracts, they will start getting scythed chariots, they will start getting their own pike phalanxes. You might have trouble against the Seleucids. The Pontic guys, they also have some phalanxes. They also have, wait, I think they have phalanxes. They also have Cappadocian cav, for example, which is really good. You have the Armenians with their cataphracts, and the Parthians with their cataphracts. Guys, this is difficult, right? This is difficult, fighting these guys. And then you have the Egyptians. Pretty much all of the eastern factions that we have here are going to be difficult for Macedon, simply because they have better cav, you know, chariots, and pike units. If you're getting into the west, the Romans were AI controlled, you will have trouble against the Romans. But because they are not AI controlled, you probably won't have a lot of troubles. Your phalanxes will probably be able to succeed unless they bring a lot of missiles, like a lot of velites plus the pillar. You know, that might wreck your front line before the fight even begins, so you need to watch out over that. But other than that, you should not have a huge difficulty, a lot of difficulty against these guys. Now, one thing that I want to tell you, it's like, if you noob box or if you corner camp, then it's going to be easy because of the pikes. If you don't do those, if you don't cheese the campaign, and, you know, I love me some cheese, then if you don't cheese, you're probably gonna be you're gonna have a hard time. If you do cheese, you're probably not gonna have such a hard time. Let's be honest here. Okay, so what else? Oh, and then of course your units are huge, and in the early game, in the early to mid game, when cities are still small, that might give you a lot of trouble. As I've shown you right here, every single unit of pike will take a lot of people out of your settlements, and you can get your settlements may get dried. Okay, you may just recruit your whole population, and then you don't have any people to develop your settlements, which, you know, it's not the best for you guys. All right, I think this is it. I cannot think of anything else to talk about Macedon. So it is time to put them on one of the tiers, and you know, the fact that I don't have a lot to say bad about Macedon, it's telling. And I think that the worst point that I have to make about Macedon is that they will have wars on multiple fronts very early on, and you might find that to be overwhelming, especially playing on very hard. Now, if you're able to get past that, if you're able to manage, you know, they are easily one of the best factions to play as. One more thing that is negative, I think, is that because of the roster, because of the Macedonian roster, your tactics, your strategy will be always the same, guys. And that's the problem. Have a front line of pikemen, have cav on the flanks, and have a bunch of archers on the back. And that'll be the only thing you can do over the entire game. It's not like, for example, working with Parthia or Macedon, or the Seleucids, where you actually have other types of infantry units, especially when you get to late game and unlock, for example, the Seleucid legionaries, the Silver Shield legionaries. You know, the Seleucids will have other types of strategies that they can adopt. The thing is that you will have a very hard to maneuver infantry corps, and you will rely heavily on your cav to do everything on the battle, and your archers to actually do some damage while your cav is going around the enemy. Right? This is what you're going to be doing in all battles, and that can get a little bit dull and tiring. But if you enjoy it, if you enjoy this kind of gameplay, and if you try to play aggressive every time, you're going to have some fun with them. And so for me, Macedonia is an A tier campaign, and it's one of those that I really enjoy to play, to be fairly honest. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys disagree with anything I said about Macedon, please let me know. If you guys don't like that I spell it Macedon instead of Macedon, please also disagree with me on the comments. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much.